Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
Guys, I'm having some audio problem with my microphone. Don't know what happened to it. Anyways, let's just forget about that. So I was requesting you guys, if you guys hop into the chat and let us know where you are tuning in from. Feel free to drop any questions, suggestions, or share your thoughts as we move ahead into the stream. Today's launch marks the Project Kuiper's first full-scale, first operational satellite launch. We are now waiting for a United Launch Alliance Atlas V in its 551 configuration rocket launch for Amazon's Project Kuiper from Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Within a 2-hour launch window between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern Daytime on April 28th, and currently targeting at 7 p.m. Eastern Daytime, that is 23 hours UTC. Also would like to give you a good news that currently the weather improved and we are currently 80% go for today's launch, which was previously 70% go. Now just a heads up, I'll be giving real-time update during the stream about the mission, so keep an ear out for what I'm saying. And It's just me only managing the launch coverages on my own. So if we face any technical issues, please bear with me and hang tight. I will do my best to guide you through the upcoming Atlas V rocket launch happening in approximately 1 hour 7 minutes from now. ULA will be starting their stream 30 minutes before the liftoff. Now we started because we have to share some insights and stats with today's related to today's launch. So for that, now Project Kuiper's payload of 27 satellites will be the heaviest payload ULA's Atlas V rocket has ever flown. To accommodate it, ULA will launch the Atlas V in its most powerful configuration, the 551 variant of the Atlas V 500 series, and we will break down the rocket's configuration for you and learn more about the rocket shortly. Now also let me mention about the weather because that caused a scrub for the first attempt. As per 45th Weather Squadron official, today's weather for the launch looks quite promising, but average, you can say, above average right now, with 20% probability of launch weather constraint violations, specifically the cumulus cloud rule, anvil cloud, and surface electric field rules, with chances of isolated showers. But the electrically charged anvil clouds is the main concern for today. Otherwise, it's a 80% favorable weather conditions for the launch anticipated by the 45th Weather Squadron. Now, for those who are new to today's mission, Project Kuiper is Amazon's low Earth orbit satellite broadband network, similar to SpaceX's Starlink mega constellation. Its mission is to provide fast, reliable internet to customers around the world using first generation satellite constellation of more than 3,200 advanced low Earth orbit satellites. To be precise, it's 3,236 satellites for the initial constellation. The satellites are projected to be placed in 98 orbital planes in 3 orbital layers, one at 590 kilometers and followed by that is in 630 kilometers of altitude. Amazon is expecting to begin delivering services to the customers later this year. The company has secured more than 80 launches to deploy the initial constellation, and over the next few years, Kuiper and ULA team will conduct 7 more Atlas V launches and 38 launches on ULA's larger Vulcan Centaur rocket. So that's 46 launches for ULA, and the remaining 34 launches are planned across other launch providers, Arianespace, Blue Origin, and SpaceX as well. But personally, I feel that it's a bit critical considering the current launch cadence conditions for all launch service providers except SpaceX, which, as we know, it's doing an excellent job. This is just my personal opinion without any inclination or proclivity or bias towards any of the mentioned providers. Don't know why my microphone is not working perfectly. But anyways, let's rewind to see how the mission geared up. ULA began preparation for Kuiper-1 launch on February 24th by standing up the Atlas V first stage aboard the mobile launch platform at the vertical integration facility located adjacent to the Space Launch Complex 41 pad. The subsequent days saw the full complement of 5 side-mounted rockets, solid rocket boosters, also known as SRBs. Right now on your screen you can see the core booster being lifted off, and here we go, we are seeing the core. Now this one is the solid rocket boosters getting affixed to the Atlas V rocket to provide maximum launch performance. Then we will be having the Centaur upper stage, which will carry the payload into the prescribed orbit, which was lifted into the VIF, that is vertical integration facility, on March 14th, and Kuiper-1 marks the 250th Centaur launch atop an Atlas rocket and the 275th flight overall for the upper stage. While the rocket stacking activities were ongoing, Amazon technicians were installing the satellites onto a specialized dispenser system inside Project Kuiper's satellite processing facility at the Kennedy Space Center. Once the craft was all set in place, the Atlas V's composite payload fairing enclosed Kuiper-1 into its upcoming historic journey. On March 31st, ULA transported the Kuiper-1 from the satellite processing facility to the vertical integration facility, where it became one of the heaviest payload ever hosted atop an Atlas rocket. Now just give me a second, let me set up the chat for, okay, it's done. Standing 205 feet, 62.5 meter tall, the fully assembled Atlas V rocket features a longer length payload fairing than the standard to carry as many satellites as possible, that is the 27 of them for today. This will be the only 9th time in 102 launches of Atlas V to use the larger fairing. Atlas V with 551 configuration weighing 1.3 million pounds, once fueled for launch, generates a combined thrust of 2.7 million pounds, that is 12 meganewtons, from its main engine and 5 solid rocket boosters. The rocket will embark on a northeasterly trajectory, and onboard guidance will target a near circular low Earth orbit of approximately 280 miles, that is 450 kilometers, with an inclination of 51.9 degrees. Now Atlas V has two variants. Atlas V 400 series, which uses a 4-meter fairing, includes models I mean the configurations like 401, which means no SRB, and single RL10 engine. Another example of another configuration is 431, ranging from 0 to 3 SRBs. Now the payload capacity for the 400 series to low Earth orbit is 15,260 kilograms, and to the geostationary orbit it is approximately 7,700 kilograms. Next we have the Atlas V 500 series, which uses a 5-meter fairing for larger payloads, which includes models like 551, just like of today, and it ranges from 0 to 5 SRBs, boosting capacity to low Earth orbit of approximately 18,850 kilograms, and to geostationary orbit it is approximately 8,900 kilograms. Now, just for context, there is another heavy lift variant, proposed Atlas 5 heavy lift variant with 3 common core booster, and was never flown but could have lifted 29 approximately 29,400 kilograms to low Earth orbit. With this, it is on like 551 configuration itself is such powerful, but this heavy lift would have been more because there would have been 3 common core boosters. Here we have, for today, the 551 configuration, we have only one common core booster. So you can imagine the difference what it would have been if we have a heavy lift variant of Atlas 5. And over 100 launches with a near perfect reliability record with 2 partial failures back in 2007 and 2016. ULA have made it a workhorse for them, the Atlas 5 rocket. Now, the Atlas 5 rocket's naming convention, how this 551, what by that what we mean even. So let's know about the naming convention. The Atlas 5 rocket uses a 3-digit naming convention to designate its variants, reflecting its modular design for various mission requirements. The first digit represents the diameter of the payload fairing in meters. For that, the options are 4 for the 400 series and 5 for the 500 series, 4 meters or 5 meters, accommodating different payload sizes. The second digit indicates the number of strap-on solid rocket boosters, SRBs, attached to the common core booster, and this ranges from 0 to 3 for the 400 series and 0 to 5 for the 500 series. Please excuse me. Now the third digit specifies the number of RL-10 engines on the Centaur upper stage, either 1, that is single engine Centaur, also in short it's known as SCC, or 2, Centaur upper stage, some 2 RL-10 engines, that is the dual engine Centaur, also known as DEC, affecting the payload capacity and orbit insertion precision. Now on your screen you saw how this naming convention it is, but just another example, as you just saw the 551, but what if in case of Atlas 5 400 series it will be. If we consider 401 variant of the Atlas 5, then by the naming convention it stands the 4-meter fairing, 0 SRBs and 1 Centaur engine used for the lighter payloads like Mars InSight mission. And for today it is 551, so it indicates the 5-meter fairing, 5 SRBs and 1 Centaur engine, the most powerful variant, capable of lifting up to 18,814 kilograms to low Earth orbit, as seen in Juno mission to Jupiter. Now let's dive into the Atlas 5 rocket for today's mission and breaking down its setup in a way that's easy to follow. Coming from the top, we have the payload fairing. The spacecraft rides inside a 17.7 feet, 5.4 meter wide medium payload fairing. It is built from a sandwich style composite with a vented aluminum honeycomb core and a graphite epoxy layers. This 2-piece shell wraps around both the Centaur stage and the satellites, bringing the rocket's total height to about 205 feet, that is 62.5 meters, with this 5-meter fairing. In general, the Atlas 5 payload fairings are configurable to fit a variety of spacecraft heights, Both 4-meter and 5-meter diameter variants are available in 3 lengths, but here is a difference between the 4-meter payload fairing and a 5-meter payload fairing. Is that the 4-meter payload fairing is a metallic design, whereas the 5-meter payload fairing is a carbon composite bisector design manufactured by ULA partner Beyond Gravity. Beyond Gravity is the space-oriented segment of the Swiss technology group called RUAG, R-U-A-G. Next, we have the Centaur upper stage. The second stage is 10 feet, 3 meters wide and 41.5 feet, 12.6 meters long. Its pressure stabilized tanks are made of tough corrosion resistant stainless steel. To keep these cryogenic tanks chilled, it uses helium purged blankets, radiation shields, and spray on foam insulations running on liquid hydrogen and oxygen. It is powered by an RL-10A42 engine that pumps out 22,600 pounds, that is 100.5 kilonewtons of thrust. RL-10 engines are manufactured by Aerojet Rocketdyne and L3 Harris Company. Up front, the center forward adapter hooks up the avionics fault-tolerant gear that connects electrically and structurally to the spacecraft. The Centaur's avionics handle guidance, flight control, and sequencing for both the booster and Centaur stages. Now coming up, we have the common core booster for the Atlas V rocket, and before me explaining that, would like to welcome Pop Tripika, one of our moderator here. Thanks tuning in, Pop Tripika, once again. And that's a nice question, but it all depends on how New Glenn will be performing in the upcoming certification flight. And upon that, we have the production conditions, that how fast they can have a new rocket to launch, because of course it is a reusable rocket, but still we need the production facility to be handling the huge launch cadence if needed for this. Of course it will be needed for this constellation, but it all depends on the performance for the New Glenn and for the integration and production facilities for the New Glenn rocket. Now I don't know how much they are doing behind the scene, so let's wait and watch. Now this common booster, which is 12.5 feet, 3.8 meters diameter and stretches 106.5 feet, that is 32.5 meters long. Its rigid tanks are built from isogrid aluminum barrels, spun formed domes, and intertank skirts. The power for the common core booster comes from the RD 180 engine, a single unit with 2 thrust chambers. That's why you will be noticing that at the very below we have 2 nozzles, so they are having 2 thrust chambers and 2 exhausts for that, burning RP1, the purest form of kerosene, and liquid oxygen for a hefty 3.83 meganewtons of thrust at sea level, which can operate for about 4 minutes. The movements of the engine nozzles are also controlled by 4 hydraulic actuators, and the engine can be throttled from 47% to 100% of nominal thrust. Next, we have the solid rocket boosters. 5 GEM 63 strap-on solid rocket boosters kick in at liftoff, each adding 1.6 meganewtons of thrust at sea level for 94 seconds to get things moving. These solid rocket boosters can be of Aerojet's AJ-60A or Northrop Grumman's GEM 63. But as of now, the Aerojet's AJ-60A is not being used. ULA is currently using the Northrop Grumman's GEM 63 variant. Now this Atlas 551 configuration rocket, designated AV-107 for today's mission, stands 205 feet, that is 62.5 meter tall, and will weigh 1.3 million pounds once fully fueled for liftoff. It will leave the pad with 2.7 million pounds, that is 12 meganewtons of thrust, with the main engine and 5 solid rocket boosters to launch the Kuiper-1. Now, if you feel we are adding value to your viewing experience, please consider giving this stream a like. It really helps YouTube's algorithm to bring in more space lovers and help other rocket fans discover this stream, and to join our amazing community with spectacular space enthusiasts like you. Also consider smashing the subscribe button and turning on the bell notification so that you won't miss any upcoming launch, and your support will be helping us a lot, and we would be super grateful for your kindness. Now about today's flight profile. Following the final confirmation of the rocket readiness from the mission control team, the RD-180 engine and 5 GEM 63 solid rocket boosters ignite to produce more than 2 million pounds of thrust, lifting ULA's Atlas V rocket. Shortly after liftoff, the rocket begins a pitch over to attain the proper flight path while minimizing the dynamic pressure it experiences during flight, also known as max Q, similar to other rocket launches. Atlas then reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound. The addition of 5 solid rocket boosters precisely augment the liftoff thrust of Atlas V, giving it the power to deliver the payload to the orbit. With the propellant expired approximately 96 seconds into ascent, the SRBs burn out, followed by jettison. Atlas guidance system then begins steering towards the precise target in space. Amazon's Kuiper satellites are encapsulated inside a 5-meter diameter payload fairing, which provides protection to the spacecraft during ascent. After crossing the Kármán line and entering space, the payload fairing is jettisoned. With the majority of the propellant expended, fighting against the force of gravity, the RD-180 engines shut down and the booster stage separates. The rocket then begins the second stage flight, weighing less than 7% of what it did at liftoff. ULA's high-performance Centaur with its RL-10 engine ignites, powering the upper stage and spacecraft into a circular low Earth orbit approximately 280 miles and with an inclination of 51.9 degrees. Now the first burn comes to an end with engine shutdown, followed by Centaur orienting into the proper position for releasing the Amazon's Project Kuiper satellites. Once the satellites have successfully separated from the rocket, they will begin a series of mostly automated steps to activate onboard system and use their electric propulsion systems to gradually ascend to their assigned orbit. That is, to be specific, for today it's 630 kilometers. The satellites will travel at a speed of more than 17,000 miles per hour on orbit and circle the planet approximately every 90 minutes. So it's just similar to that of what the ISS is orbiting Earth. While Starlink operates at approximately 550 kilometers, Kuiper satellite will be orbiting slightly higher at 630 kilometers. Now, once again, just a reminder, live mission updates are coming your way during the stream, so be sure to listen in. I will be keep updating you guys during the stream. Now, the upcoming ULA Atlas V launch for the Kuiper-1 mission is shaping up to be a huge event with several exciting milestones on the horizon. So let's take a look at them. It will be ULA's 160th overall launch and the first of 2025. This will also mark the 93rd Atlas V launch to date and the first of 2025. Plus, it will be the 102nd Atlas V launch overall and the second ULA mission dedicated to Amazon's Project Kuiper, making it the first operational satellite deployment for that project. Previously, we know that they launched 2 prototype satellites for Project Kuiper, so that's why it's the second one dedicated to Amazon's Project Kuiper. The launch is set to take off from Space Launch Complex 41, which will make it ULA's 84th orbital launch from the pad and the 113th orbital launch from Space Launch Complex 41 in overall. Is going to be incredible to see these numbers come together, highlighting how active and dependable ULA has been with the Atlas V. Now, prior to today's launch, Atlas V had completed 101 missions. Its most recent launch was the USSF 51 National Security Mission on 30th of July last year, 2024, marking its second and final flight of 2024. Earlier, it supported the Starliner crew flight test on June 5th, which unfolded with unexpected twists and turns, but the astronauts are now safe. Now, with today's launch of Kuiper-1 mission, also known as Kuiper Atlas 1, ULA's Atlas V will mark its first launch of the year and the 102nd Atlas V launch overall. With ULA's Vulcan rocket now certified for National Security Space Mission and United Launch Alliance winning a Space Force contract for continued critical launches, we hope to see an increase in launch activity this year. Now, moving on to this year's orbital launches. With this 89th orbital launch of the year, the United States is leading with 57 launches, including this one, followed by China with 23 launches, Russia with 5 launches, 1 launch each by India, Japan, and Europe with 2 launches, which includes the newly debut of Spectrum rocket launch. So now we have this pie chart showing 2025 orbital launches by rocket variations, including today's launch. Just few moments ago, Falcon 9 had its 49th launch, and previously there were 5 launches for Electron, 1 launch for New Glenn. Now you guys have a look into the rocket variation and the number of launches being made. Meanwhile, let me just say something about the satellites. The satellites flying on, but before that, would like to apologize because we couldn't produce the exact payload details as we do in our Starlink launches, because as of now the details are not disclosed yet for the Kuiper satellites. As soon as they will be available, we will be including them in our upcoming streams for the Kuiper launches. So for that we are sorry today. Now about the satellites. These satellites flying on KA-01, that is also known as Kuiper Atlas 1 mission, which represents a significant upgrade from the first two prototype satellites successfully tested during their protoflight mission back in October 2023. They mentioned that the performance of every system and subsystem on board had been improved, including phased array antennas, processors, solar arrays, propulsion systems, and optical intersatellite links. Additionally, the satellites are coated in a dielectric mirror film unique to Kuiper, which scatters the reflected sunlight to help them be less visible to the ground-based astronomers and observatories. Because nowadays, with such many launches of satellites, is really getting critical for ground-based astronomers and observatories to observe the sky and the space, because the satellites, when they reflect the sunlight, they create confusions with other celestial bodies. As of now, we are getting update that the countdown is continuing smoothly towards liftoff in approximately 40 minutes, they are saying from now. Following liftoff, the rocket will embark on a northeasterly trajectory, and onboard guidance will target a near circular low Earth orbit of approximately 450 kilometers with an inclination of 51.9 degrees. Also, the weather team is keeping an eye for the cumulus cloud coming off the ocean and heading towards the pad, and it likely would cause a no-go status on the weather. So let's be hopeful that at least today we will be having the launch, and I guess we are 2 minutes away from the webcast to begin. No, we are not. I think they shifted off their webcast time. We are right now 9 minutes away. So meanwhile, let me share some more details. That, as mentioned earlier, the Kuiper has 46 launches booked with ULA. Amazon has also purchased 18 launches on Ariane Space's Ariane 6 rocket, plus 12 launches on Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket, with options to add another 15 on top of that, and 3 launches on SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. It is quite obvious they will be doing so with SpaceX, because they are racing up with them in the satellite internet facility to provide. Now, Project Kuiper's ambitious deployment campaign is part of an effort to catch up with SpaceX's Starlink satellite broadband network, which already has more than 7,000 satellites in orbit and 5 million subscribers. So it's a tough condition. And meanwhile, Eutelsat OneWeb is also going after the market for the internet service provided by satellite in low Earth orbit. Also, there are some small organizations doing the same. So it's really a tough market for satellite broadband network. Now let's see who will be dominating this market. As of now, it's SpaceX. Kuiper is gearing up, so it's just a matter of time and to get the results. And also under the current terms of the license which Kuiper satellite acquired from the Federal Communication Commission, Amazon is due to launch 3,232 Kuiper satellites by 2029, with half of those satellites going into orbit by mid 2026. Now, this is really getting critical because we are here already getting close to the mid of 2025, and just you can say more than 1 year, just a little more than 1 year, and they have to launch 2029 satellites, that is half of those total 3,236 Kuiper satellites. I don't know how they will be doing, but it all depends upon the upcoming New Glenn rockets performance, because with the ULA they have 46 launches booked, but with that I think this count for half of the constellation, it won't be getting completed. Let me just calculate it. Even if we will be multiplying 27 with 46 of the launches each by ULA, we will be having 1,242 satellites to be launched. I don't know how many of satellites will be getting launched using the Vulcan Centaur. So hopefully if they can manage launching more on that and other launch purchases made with the other launch service providers like Arianespace and Blue Origin, hopefully they can manage that. Well, Pop Tropica, yes, indeed, because we know SpaceX is dominating the market, but we should have, as some I'm not remembering who was saying so, that Blue Origin, New Glenn should be coming into the market for the launch providers. In just one or two stream before, someone was saying, it's not coming to me right now, but the main thing is that we should have a competition, or else there will be a monopoly, and that's not a good thing in any sector. So if Kuiper will be coming, because in that way we customers are also get benefit, because if it will be a monopoly, then whatever the service provider is providing us, we have to have it, else there is no other option. But if there will be a competition and the other competitor will be providing something which the bigger one is not providing, then the market will be getting shipped to the new one. So instead of that time both has to be in an equilibrium providing services to the customer, so in that we will be getting benefited as well. Now hope don't know about as I said, I don't know how these Kuiper satellites, their technical specifications, in, and if these Kuiper satellites will be having a technology like direct to cell kind of SpaceX, then I think that will be a game changer for them as well, and a substantial threat for SpaceX. But I don't know, Amazon is not good in uh, revealing details about their satellite, but I really wanted to know because that would have made the stream more fruitful and to be more informative for you guys. But I sincerely apologize for that. Couldn't manage to have any details, although I researched it even during the previous attempt during the April 9, but didn't got any information out of them. Now, Amazon is expecting to begin delivering the service to customers later this year. But I think for that, at least half of the constellation has to be deployed and to be functional. And they have secured more than 80 launches to deploy the initial constellation. And over the next few years, Kuiper and ULA team will conduct 7 more Atlas 5 launches and 38 launches on ULA Vulcan Centaur rockets. So that's 46 for ULA. And today's mission, it is Kuiper-1, but also known as KA-1, is because it's getting launched on a Atlas 5 rocket. That's why it is KA. When it will be getting launched, these Kuiper satellites will be getting launched with using a Vulcan Centaur, then it will be KV. So that time the naming convention will be KV1 or KV2, like that. Or maybe they can have it KVC because to have incorporate the Vulcan Centaur, but I think they won't be. They will be having KV. So I guess it's getting close for us to the webcast. And yep, the stream is live. So let's move ahead and let me set up the stream for you guys. Meanwhile, I would like to once again remind you that I will be giving real-time updates during the stream about the mission, so keep an ear out for what I'll be saying. So here we go. Stream is about to begin. Let the audio feed to pop in, and I will be patching it for you guys because maybe they will be playing some copyrighted tracks, so we are not allowed to have them on our stream. That I'm not at all aware, because during the flight profile, I think they will be showing us animations, not like uh, that of SpaceX, the real deployment for the satellites. And ULA previously also did so. In a very few occasions, they did manage to show us the deployment of the satellites. But today, for to me personally, it feels that they won't be, because firstly is the initial launch of the 27 batch of 27 Kuiper satellites, and which will be like a kind of secret they will be maintaining
Good evening and welcome to live coverage of ULA's Atlas V launch of Amazon's inaugural Project Kuiper mission. I'm Caleb Weiss, a systems engineer at ULA, and I'm joined by Britt Porcelli, a propulsion engineer. It's great to be back here, Britt, after we got scrubbed out for scrubbed during our first attempt due to weather.
Yeah, Caleb, it's always a pleasure to be here with you in the booth. And for all of you joining, we are actually reporting from you live from ULA's Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center here at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Liftoff is scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern at the opening of today's 2-hour launch window. Launch windows vary by mission and are determined by the payload's destination. Today's mission is going to low Earth orbit, or LEO as we refer to it, and has multiple orbit insertion opportunities. So for today's flight, if the rocket and the payload are ready, and if weather permits better than last time, we expect to have Atlas lift off at 7 p.m.
And always nice to have a 2-hour window. Sometimes we have much shorter ones, even instantaneous. So to have that extra time, just in case the team is working any issues today, is really nice to have. We'll be covering today's mission through the start of second stage engine first burn. For additional real-time mission coverage, follow along with our live blog at ulalaunch.com. And if you enjoy watching our live broadcasts, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for access to future missions, launch highlights, and behind-the-scenes rocket content.
At this time, the team is not working any issues and we're proceeding towards a 7 p.m. liftoff. Today's mission is dedicated to 3 teammates who are no longer with us. Let's hear about their legacies.
Today's flight is dedicated to Bob Howard, Pat Murphy, and Scott Connolly. Over 45 years.
Playing some copyrighted tracks, so we won't be able to play them, but you guys can enjoy the visuals. And as they said about the weather, and according to the 45th Weather Squadron, the weather is observed go currently. The weather officer Brian Belson said so. And just 10 minutes before the fuel fill sequence started, this procedure releases the RP1 kerosene fuel into the RD-180 main engine in preparation for its ignition. So that's all we have for now, the updates to share with you. As of now, no other updates being shared with us, but I'll be keeping an eye for you guys to give you real-time updates.
Talking earlier, Brett, how it's nice to be back here after getting scrubbed for weather during our first attempt. We were scrubbed out for cumulus clouds, but those weather rules are just as important as any other flight rule. So we got to take them seriously. But weather's looking a lot better today, and glad to be back here, ready to get this mission launched.
Yeah, and that's just one of the perks of launching off the coast of Cape Canaveral. So you can have beautiful weather all day long, and then in an instant, it can turn to a heavy rainstorm coming in the afternoon. And so our team just has to be poised and ready for any time that there's a scrub or any time that the clouds open up and let us have an optimal launch window.
And this was even more unusual in that we had kind of a longer time in between attempts. Normally we can turn around and launch again the next day, but in this case, even though the launch vehicle and the payload were both ready to go and have been the whole time, we needed to just give a little bit of time for some conflicts to work out on the range, and we're back here today ready to go. And we're actually coming up on a planned hold, which means that as the launch team and the launch clock are getting closer to liftoff, the clock will pause for short periods of time to allow the team to resolve any issues that may occur in the hours leading up to launch.
And if you were listening in last time, you will probably be familiar with launch counts that you might already know. The L minus time refers to the actual time remaining until launch. And the T minus time refers to the time printed on the countdown clock that reflects the hold and is paused for an exact amount of time until the hold is released.
And by building in this time, we give ourselves a higher probability of an on-time liftoff. today's countdown, which can be seen in the top left corner of your
So now the new launch time, ULA launch director Eric Richards has instructed the team to coordinate a new launch time of 7:01 p.m. Eastern Daytime,
And we are still
that is
taking our flight mode at
23:01
Atlas 5 on the Launchpad. And as the
hours
countdown
UTC.
continues, our team is
So
taking
it's
the
just
final steps
1
of
minute
preparation for
got
liftoff.
pushed
If we're looking at the
afar,
rocket, you see the first stage,
but
also
it's
known
all
as the
depends on the
rocket
weather.
stage,
So
which is
let's
the large tank on the
hear
bottom.
to them that what
That is actually
they
two
have to say.
tanks, one filled up
We
with
will be having
oxygen,
some weather
the other
briefings
filled
from
with
45th Weather
oxygen.
Squadron
Those two
on our
mix
stream
into
as
the
well.
combustion chamber inside the RD-180. They're burned, and that's what gives the rocket its thrust. The other interesting thing is that liquid
And also an update that we have completed the fuel fill sequence to ready the first stage main propulsion system for launch.
that bronze tank actually looking white after it's fueled.
Atlas is also equipped with the Centaur upper stage, which drives the payload during the second phase of its flight to its final orbital destination in space. The payload fairing, or PLF, completes the rocket and provides the aerodynamic shape necessary for the climb to space. And as you can see on the upper stage in the PLF, we'll see the logos for Amazon, Atlas, ULA, as well as the American flag. So let's learn a little bit more about how ULA builds the Atlas V rocket.
Once again, you can enjoy the visuals. We can provide the audio feed. They will be having some copyrighted tracks there, but I did covered everything during the pre-stream when I was explaining things. So there is nothing new to know from them as of now, what they are describing. And we have to do so because these copyrighted tracks can cause issues with our stream. Now just once again a reminder that we have a new launch time for today. The ULA launch director Eric Richard has instructed the team to coordinate a new launch time of 7:01 p.m. Eastern Daytime, that is 23:01 UTC. So don't get scared by hearing a new launch time. It's just 1 minute difference from the initial targeted liftoff time of 7 p.m. Eastern Daytime. Although it's a little bit scary, anyhow, I can understand that we are still having weather conditions there. But lastly, what they mentioned that we are having 20% probability of launch constraint violations and a 80% go for today's launch. So hopefully things will be good for today's launch and we will have the launch today.
To deliver Amazon's Kuiper satellites to orbit. Let's learn more about Project Kuiper and what they've been doing to prepare for offering internet connectivity from space.
So now they will be explaining that how the Kuiper satellites are being developed and things. Although there is nothing technical about this video that I could share, that's why I skipped it. It's just a kind of a trailer, you can say, but okay, fine. You will enjoy the visuals. Meanwhile, let me see if they are providing any update. As of now, no update is there. Well, yes, we are having an update right now that Atlas launch control now passing T-minus 15 minutes. Their various communication channels in the control center are quiet because they are not working any problems in the launch countdown. So that's a positive thing. They are still anticipating a liftoff at 7:01 p.m. Eastern Daytime. 23:01 hours UTC. An update we got regarding the weather, that the upper level winds have been verified acceptable for the launch. In the previous attempt we got the scrub lastly due just because for the winds. Initially we were having issues for the clouds and other stuff, but finally we did got nearly at least 40 minutes, you can say, to be a safe side. We got 40 minutes of launch window in the previous launch attempt, but we couldn't make it just because of the lift off wind. So today they are saying the upper level winds have been verified and are acceptable for the launch, so that's a positive thing. So let's see what they have to say. I'm just curious more about the briefing, what they will be mentioning in the stream by the 45th Weather Squadron official, because that's the real concise weather briefing we will be having to know. These were the fairing integration for the Kuiper satellite. You just saw the visuals of that. And I hope they will be having, as Bob Tripika, one of our moderator, asked that about the payload deployment. I hope they will be providing us some visuals of the payload deployment.
Viewers watching the launch from Florida and points north and east might be able to see the Atlas V in flight. To get a closer look at this visibility map, check out @ULA Launch on social media.
Very cool. Of course, everybody thinks of seeing a rocket launch right here close to the pad, but even those all up the east coast of the United States will be able to see that light streak across the sky with an evening launch like we have tonight. Taking another look at the launch pad, all 27 of those Kuiper satellites tucked nicely in the 77-foot payload fairing there of our Atlas V rocket.
And this Atlas V rocket is actually our 551 configuration, so it's a 5-meter payload fairing with 5 SRBs, and that's going to bring a lot of power and a lot of thrust to the rocket, allowing it to exit Earth's atmosphere and get to our orbital insertion in our low Earth orbit destination.
That's right, with all 5 solids and the RD-180, 2.7 million pounds of thrust at liftoff for this largest Atlas V configuration that we fly today, maximizing the payload capacity to get as many satellites on orbit as we can tonight. So pretty excited to see this.
As we get closer to the opening of our launch window, let's have a look at the weather forecast the launch team just received from Space Launch Delta 45 Weather Officer Brian Belson.
Yes, Brian is not on with us tonight on another assignment, but he did hand us the forecast. We do have a probability of violating launch constraints between 25 and 35%. It actually starts out lower at the beginning of the window, and then at the 20% it increases up to 35% as we make our way through the window. Ground winds are 17 knots out of the east, and temperature is 73 degrees. Primary concern for launch today is cumulus clouds, anvil clouds, and surface electric fields. So we are watching the weather very closely, as we always do. As we mentioned earlier, those weather rules are just as important as any other flight rule, but this weather today looks much better than our first attempt.
That's right, Caleb. And these weather rules are designed to keep the vehicle safe from wind, lightning, and other potential weather risks. And we mentioned earlier about measuring the surface electricity, and that's basically the smarter way for saying that we are watching the lightning and the potential for it to be in this area. One thing that we always notice here when you get a live look at Atlas on the pad is that you have 4 lightning towers situated around Atlas. And so that basically is there as a mitigation strategy. If there is lightning in the area, it's supposed to conduct through the towers instead of hitting our rocket and our very precious payload.
Very good. And
So that means that we are having 35% probability of launch constraint violation. It means that we are 65% go for launch as of now. And as they mentioned before in previous update that
CISA purge flowing Jan2 to the CISA.
Verified.
OSM verify the FCO, ROC, and OSM whole fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
RLM verify red line monitor event table are in a correct configuration for terminal count. Verified. RC verify solar radiation acceptable for launch.
Verified. Launch on time verified.
Roger. LC switch to the ready position. All steps are complete prior to the status check.
We remain in the planned 15-minute hold as we continue towards liftoff. In a few moments, ULA launch conductor Scott Barney will pull the team for the...
So as I mentioned, the launch weather constraint violations will be 35% and 65% go. I think it will be rising up as they mentioned in a previous weather update that the cumulus clouds are coming off the ocean and heading towards the pad. And if this will be getting
-8 minutes.
these clouds will be not in the way of the rocket launch trajectory, and also a I think 10-meter radius that they said in the last stream, then they will be having a good probability of launch today. Now the launch conductor Scott Barney is reminding the console operators that if a constraint is observed at T-7 minutes readiness poll, the team members shall be announcing hold on the communication loops, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold. I hope that these 3 words we should not be getting to hear. Now, right now, the polling is underway to proceed with the terminal count. ULA launch director
-7 minutes.
conductor Scott Barney is performing the status check. So let's listen to those callouts.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics. Go. LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
House gas.
Go.
Electrical systems airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Op support.
Go.
Com.
Go.
Availables.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor. Go. Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Go.
Launch director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. ALC. Verify T0 is set for 23:01.
Verified.
So there we go. ULA launch director Eric Richards has given the final permission to launch. So that's a good thing, and they are keeping up with the new launch time of 7:01 p.m. Eastern Daytime, 23:01 hours UTC, with no further delays. Now, just the weather is a concern. I hope that also won't be coming in in our way.
Boats, planes, or weather, and that all tracking systems are operational. At T-minus 25 seconds, you'll hear Go Atlas, Go Centaur, Go Kuiper. This is the final status check for the rocket and the payload.
To dampen the acoustic shock at liftoff, at T-minus 6 seconds, the Launchpad's water deluge system activates, followed a few seconds later by the RD-180 booster engine ignition. Then, after seeing Atlas lift off, you'll hear flight commentator Sarah Bailey Glasgow providing the updates as the rocket ascends.
Right now we are standing by to pick up the countdown clock once again. The payload is confirmed to be in a proper configuration for the launch. And we did got a go for the launch previously from launch director Eric Richards.
And it kind of gives you a feel of what our exact engineers feel when they are sitting on console here. So we are listening to that together live.
Yeah, very cool to be hearing Channel 1, the launch conductor, as well as the team as we proceed into these final minutes prior to launch. You'll hear them working through all those final steps leading up to the T0, which is now 1 minute past the hour at 7:01 Eastern Time.
Yeah, and thinking about how big this moment
Right now the countdown is resuming. T-minus 4 minutes and counting. The final phase of today's countdown is underway at Cape Canaveral to launch the Atlas V rocket with the Kuiper-1 mission. The countdown clocks have resumed, leading us to liftoff of this epic launch.
going to share on Atlas and Vulcan as we ride into this future of ULA together.
Really is cool to launch this new era, and we were so excited about talking about Atlas. We went right past the T-minus 4 hold release, so you can see that that hold is released and the clock is counting. We are at just about T-minus 3 minutes and 18 seconds.
The Atlas first stage liquid oxygen replenishment is being secured so that the tanks can be pressurized for the launch, and the ground pyrotechnics have been armed to release the vehicle from the launch pad at liftoff.
Following final confirmation of rocket readiness.
Now they are playing this pre-launch like flight profile, which I already mentioned, so I am pausing the audio feed because that will cause copyright issues with our stream. But they got to see it right now, just during getting close to the liftoff time. Right now, what you are seeing, I'm saying that Atlas then here at this point, those SRBs will be getting separated. Then the Atlas guidance system will begin steering towards the precise target in space. Amazon's Kuiper satellites are encapsulated in the 5-meter diameter payload fairing, which provides protection to the spacecraft, and they will be jettisoned after entering into the space. With the majority of the propellant expended, the RD-180 engine shut down and the booster stage separates. Then the rocket begins second stage flight, which at that time weighing less than 7% of what it did at the liftoff. ULS High Performance Centaur with the RL-10 engine ignites, powering the upper stage and spacecraft into a circular low Earth orbit approximately 450 kilometers with 51.9 degrees inclination.
Joining us, I'm Caleb Weiss here with Britt Porcelli for today's live coverage of ULA's Atlas V launch of Amazon's.
Right now, the firing chain is armed. The solid rocket boosters are ready for ignition. The range operation commander confirms that the eastern range at the Cape Canaveral is green. Conditions for launch. Just at T-minus 25 seconds, a final status check will be announced on the Atlas, Centaur and the payload readiness by each stage prop lead engineer and the launch conductor.
28. Verify ECS reduced for launch.
Verified.
Status check.
Go Atlas.
Go Centaur. Go KA-01.
So there we go, all go for the launch.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. 2, 1.
Ignition and full thrust. 5 good SRBs.
And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying satellites for Amazon's Project Kuiper internet constellation, marking the start of a new chapter in low Earth orbit satellite connectivity.
You is now on closed loop control. Engaging first throttle segment. And we've completed our pitch program. Engine operating parameters continue to look good. And we've successfully completed our roll program. Hydraulics continue to operate nominally. Mach 1, Atlas V is now supersonic. Body rates continue to look good. Engine continues to operate as expected. Throttling back up.
You're hearing Sarah Bailey Glasgow providing launch vehicle.
Now coming at T plus 60 seconds, the main engine has throttled as programmed, while the full complement of the 5-side mounted solid rocket boosters provides 2/3 of the Atlas V launch power. The rocket has broken through the sound barrier. As we heard, it went supersonic and passed a region of maximum aerodynamic stress in the lower atmosphere, the max Q.
Body rates continue to look good. Vehicle is now 1/2 of its liftoff weight.
People out there are cheering up watching this launch.
Coming up on SRB burnout.
Now we are coming up to the solid rocket booster separation,
Throttling back up.
and we got a confirmation that at 1, and there we go, solid rocket booster jettison is confirmed. The Northrop Grumman made GEM 63 motors have successfully separated from the Atlas V first stage, having completed their job. Atlas V soon transitions to closed loop guidance following SRB separation to aim the trajectory towards a precise point in space. The rocket continues towards orbit on the power of its main engine right now and will more than triple its speed in 2 minutes remaining in the first stage flight.
Let's listen in to Sarah.
Continues to move down the center of the range track and is moving at 5,300 miles an hour.
That you heard the speed. Now coming at past T plus 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the main engine operating parameters are nominal. The engine is burning a mixture of highly refined kerosene and liquid oxygen. That's the fuel for common core booster.
Vehicle is
And
now 1/4 of its liftoff weight.
we will be having fairing separation soon.
And good indication of CFLR deck jettison.
And I hope you guys could notice that we have the fairing separation and the fairing halves falling from the sky down to earth. And right now we are having this animation, and the fairing separation happened at T plus 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the flight.
These events occur when the first stage has escaped Earth's atmosphere, getting above the Kármán line and into space. The Centaur upper stage with the Kuiper
Now,
satellites attached then takes over.
Getting close to T plus 4 minutes, the main engine will be throttling to maintain a constant acceleration limit. The Centaur is about to begin its cool down sequence during the boost phase of the flight in preparation for RL-10 ignition.
You has gone to open loop control as expected. Engine continues to operate nominally.
And Pop Tropica, I hope with this animation, I hope that we won't be getting the visuals of payload deployment. I'm sorry for that, but I was also expecting that if they will be giving us visuals, but we won't be having that. Well, we are receiving another update that at T plus there we go. The successful Atlas staging is confirmed. The first stage of flight was completed with booster engine cutoff, also known as BECO. Instead of MECO, it is BECO here. followed by separation of Atlas V's common core booster. The vehicle now weighs less than 7% of its liftoff mass.
5 minutes. We just heard flight commentator Sarah Bailey Glasgow confirm the successful completion of today's early milestones in today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. So what we saw today, we had a nice smooth countdown, beautiful weather, beautiful liftoff, and
I guess they are wrapping up the stream or something. Why they are saying these concluding lines?
Really start this new era in internet connectivity. So Atlas is on its way to making history again, Britt.
And that's what you love to see, Caleb. You love to see a nominal launch, not working any issues, and the weather window work perfectly and open up right for us at the beginning of our launch window. So as we wrap up today's live coverage,
There we go. They are wrapping up, and there is no confirmation of the payload deployment also. Oh, great. Anyways, but we are getting another update that RL-10A42 engine is firing to lift the rocket the rest of the way to the orbital velocity. This burn by Centaur will last nearly 14 minutes to place the vehicle into a near circular low Earth orbit of 280 miles at an inclination of 51.9 degrees around the Earth.
5 good SRBs.
and liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, carrying satellites for Amazon's Project Kuiper internet constellation, marking the start of a new chapter in low Earth orbit satellite
View is
connectivity.
now on closed loop control. Engaging first throttle segment. And we've completed our pitch program. Engine operating parameters continue to look good. And we've successfully completed our roll program. Hydraulics continue to operate nominally. Mach 1, Atlas V is now supersonic. Body rates continue to look good.
So there we go. That's all they had to share with us. Really, Pop Replica, that's a shame that even ULA is not. I didn't expect this from ULA at least, but hopefully I think that's not ULA's fault. It's Amazon Kuiper's secrecy. They are being enforced on ULA. So what can we say? We didn't got any confirmation of payload deployment, nothing, just the liftoff, staging, and it's done. So what more to say? With that, we will also wrap up our stream, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream and I could add some value to your viewing experience. If you felt that, then kindly like this stream so that it can reach to more space lovers and enthusiasts. So, well, before going on, let me just give you one update which we are receiving, that at T+8 minutes and 30 seconds, the Centaur continues to progress in its single burn of Kuiper-1 mission, consuming the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen propellants, and the telemetry indicates good performance by the upper stage velocity now being more than 12,000 miles per hour. So that's the update we got right now. So they are heading to the designated orbit right now for the payload deployment. So thank you all for tuning in. We really can't do this broadcast without you. Thanks for your continued support and encouragement for what we do here at AstroYonder. Be sure to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in the space industry and updates on upcoming launches. I hope you enjoyed the stream. At least the liftoff was quite nice. It was really good, and we appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch. We wish you a nice week ahead. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipto, sign off for now, and we will see you next time.